I mean, I'd like to say, you know, now that people are responding on such a sort of political level, I'd like to say that the origin of the film for me was political, but it actually wasn't. I mean, I followed the events in 2003, you know, with outrage, but I was also in the process of putting together Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and you know, you can imagine the kind of problems I was having, you know, on that set. The sort of response I had ultimately wasn't to make a movie. That some of my peers, I feel, you know, in the last few years have made sort of movies with political agendas. My response to my feelings about the Bush presidency was actually to not make a movie. I actually took a 6-month hiatus and worked for the Obama campaign doing commercials. Jez Butterworth, who's a brilliant British playwright, called me up. And said he'd written a screenplay about Valerie Plame. I really fell in love with the characters of Joe and Val and how they were portrayed in Jez, and he actually wrote the script with his brother, John Henry Butterworth, you know, how they were being portrayed. And the first thing I wanted to do was meet them and say, is this actually true? Is this, you know, because it kind of feels like characters you'd make up for a movie. He's sort of so outgoing and loud, and she's really introspective, and she's sort of this, you know, it just feels like characters that would have been in like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith and would have just come out of somebody's imagination. They really are. They're even more like those characters. I mean, when you meet them in real life, it's, you know, I love doing Q&As with them because they are. Joe will be cursing and lecturing you guys, and Valerie will be very restrained and very methodical. And you know, we screened the film last week in Washington, D.C. It was Joe's first time seeing the finished cut, and I sat with Joe and Valerie, and by the end of the film, Joe was sobbing, just sobbing, even though we had a relatively small budget. If she had a mission in Cairo, I wanted to go to Cairo. If she had a mission in Amman, Jordan, I wanted to go to Jordan. And there was scenes in Baghdad, and the reality is that the places that other filmmakers have gone to, like Morocco or Jordan, don't look anything like Baghdad. The other thing is that since so much of this film is at the core is about the run-up to war, you know, I actually wanted to see with my own eyes what we had done to that country. And for both reasons, I wanted to go to Baghdad. And, you know, obviously, Bill Polad's company, River Road, said, you know, absolutely not. And I said, well, why not? They said, it's like there's this, you get insurance, and then it lists like what countries you can't shoot in.
Exactly.
And I said, well,
countries we're currently at war with, yeah.
I said, Iraq's not on the list.
Yeah.
You know, there's places like Libya are on the list, but I said Iraq's, and they said because no one would even think of going there. It's like it doesn't even qualify for like being considered. Like it's so far off. You're so far off. You're not even on the do not go there list. Yeah. It was another act of sort of growing up that I actually called Bill Polad up and said, you know, I'm actually going to disobey you. I have secretly put together a shoot in Baghdad, and I have a crew standing by there, and I'm flying there in the morning to do this, unless you tell me that it will harm our relationship. I said, I understand from a business point of view you have to forbid me from going because it is crazy dangerous. It was, the time we were there was really reckless, but you know, I sort of felt it was for a bigger good. And Bill actually said to me, you know what, I'm not going to stop you from going to Baghdad. Like, you know, business-wise, I'm going to tell you not to go, but personally, like, I think it's a good idea, and I support you going.
But it's a very classic example of you ask for forgiveness, not for permission.